What it is, good people, it is the Bad Wolf, and we are about to get it in. And by that, I mean learn some knowledge. Get your minds out of the gutter, good people. All right, so we're going to talk about state taxes. All right, now I made a video on this before, and it should be linked to the end of this particular video. If it's not, I forgot, but it should be. So if it's not, remind me. 'Cause I know you guys like to do that. But so state taxes. All right. So in the comments, and y'all be wild in the comments, man. Mostly good and some crazy. I do appreciate the appreciation, and some people are just you can't please everybody. So I don't even understand. Like I would not ever go to somebody's rally that I don't like just to boo and neigh them. I don't understand that part. But I'd say out of like 10 or 12 people, there's always that one. But it's also understanding that, like, eh, that's what they do. And if they want to put me in their mouth and talk about me on their channels or whatever else, I guess, I mean, it really seems to only be helping my numbers. So I'm not really too mad, but at the same time, I just don't understand certain people's mentalities. Like they're not even smart enough to play this game, but okay, I digress. But anyway, to you, I personally thank you for helping, watching, and all that good jazz. So let's get into it. Ready? Ready, go. All right. So when it comes to state taxes, if you are an employee of the state, you are going to have to pay state taxes. It was literally created for you. It's in the name, state taxes. If you are a member of the state, a person of the state, you got to pay state taxes. And those people, and don't quote me on this part. So I'm not a state employee. This part I don't know for sure. But if you're a state employee, you have to pay federal taxes because you're a public trustee. See, the way the law is written is that federal employees have to pay taxes, hence the word federal tax. Federal derived income means you need to pay federal tax. State taxes means you need to be a state employee or you're receiving state derived directly from them income for your legal person as a member of the public, 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, property of the state, property of the government. These entities have to pay taxes. Those taxes are supposed to go up the pipeline into we, the American people. And some of it does, some of it doesn't. But it goes towards our programs and whatever else because a lot of them are either using our roads for profit. And this is why CDL people generally cannot just be tax exempt in that position because you signed up for a license. And what is it called again? A CDL, commercial driving license. Everything about that says pay taxes. When you use the American roads that we American people paid for, and I don't care if you are an American, understand this. The moment, like these public trustees, you slap on the commercial driver's license and get into that specialized truck, which is not a normal thing, it's not your personal one, you're doing something non natural. They control the world of anything public 14th Amendment U.S. citizen and non-natural. That's why you need a special license. So your postal workers, your court people, your whoever services the public is generally considered police officers. That's why they can't do some of the things from their while in public capacity. Does that mean there are no remedies for those people? There certainly are remedies. The law states it. As long as you know what you're doing and you pre-plan your event, you can the average person can negate 90 to 100% of their taxes generally. But there's things you have to put in place, things you have to do. And as long as you're not doing anything illegal, which none of this is, none of it's criminal, you can do them. However, if you have nefarious purposes in mind, attempt to deceive, or you do criminal, etc., then yeah, you're doing them wrong and they're going to prosecute you. That's what they're there for, and they should. Because you're stealing taxpayers' money, like the Leering Center. Oh, I mean, the Learning Center in Minnesota, you know, a whole building full of empty ass rooms, no kids, no clients, people don't know how to do their job, but they're getting millions of dollars. They didn't even want to give me, you know, 100,000 to get a daycare so that I can improve it. That's what I did until I sold it or gave it, transferred it to my investor when I was done with it. As a mutual, we're done with it. But we'll leave that one. Anyway, a business experience I learned from. So now, in some states, the way their laws are written, if you are exempt on the or excuse me, exempt on the federal level, you are exempt on the state level. But as we've come to learn, that is not the case in all states. So I have no problem admitting if in a video I made a mistake. It's just funny that you got some grown ass boys out here claiming to be men who want to be, oh, he messed up here. Yeah, it does happen. No one gets it perfect. I'm learning this as I go. I didn't go to class for this. I don't sit in some university. And even if I did, I would have to get A's on everything to be perfect at it and then be able to teach. That's why I tell you guys this is education and entertainment. It's theory. Yes, these are my results. And I get 90% success. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Your individual results may vary, which I say about me, my paperwork, my files. I don't hide that. I'm not like other people where I have to try to make a video pointing out other people's mistakes. I'm not a boy. I'm a grown ass real man, self-made. So when I give you this information, I always tell you guys to vet my information. To vet means to verify, to Vietnam vet that shit. Get the book out, look for yourself. And even still, yeah, you could do everything right and still have one of these agents or cock knockers not know what you're doing and circumvent it or shit on your rights. And then for some of y'all, that's where y'all stop. But for me, it's like, nah, I'm gonna keep going. I got more questions to ask. And that's how you get to be good at it, self-taught. But see, from the systems side, they can say, "Oh, that's sovereign citizen stuff." And that, how did the first doctors become doctors? How did the first teachers become teachers when there wasn't anything before them? They studied on their own. They learned the craft, and then they said, "Hey, join our group if you want to make it official. We'll do our own thing. Join us so that we get paid money because we formalized it." So does that mean that anything you or I do, or even these some of these off-brand gurus, um, anything that they do without going to school formally means that they shouldn't be talking about it? Oh, please, for the love of God, answer that one. Because all these gurus got all these little packages and things of that nature. They ain't got no problem taking all your money. They want to talk about me. Oh, he's just this. Well, what are you doing? And I guarantee you, a majority of the people out there, I've dealt with their clients and their customers and had to fix their problems. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying maybe one or two of mine haven't been out there and somebody had to do something, but that means they either didn't bring it back to me or I was stumped in that area because once again, I'm not a professional. Never said it was. But it's funny how many judges and these other fraternities and whatever else all do consultations with me. Police officers, people from the DOD, sheriffs, people from various whatevers, all contacting me to learn what I learned. So I must be doing something right. I digress. So if you're a federal state employee or in a position where you need to have a specialized license to do what you're doing, and you couldn't do it without that, you're generally going to have to pay taxes. However, does that mean that there aren't ways and remedies that you can put in place and carefully reduce, minimize, or eliminate, per the IRS, your tax obligation? Absolutely. I already put the code out there in the Internal Revenue Manual. It's under 25.1.1.3.3. I put that out. I put that out there first. And see nobody else put that out there. Oh, that's right, because they didn't find it. They just talk about stuff. They don't actually do the work. Then they watch someone else's video, then do the work, and then try to talk about the person so they can clap back at them. Bravo! Is it your first beer or your cute? So some of us are really about this life and really about the work, and we're authentic. This is what it is, and other people are here for what they are, and that's fine. Like I said, at the end of the day, I could put out names and do all that kitty sandbox back and forth, but men might play with their own kids in a sandbox, but men don't play in a sandbox with random boys and whatever. Men don't generally play with other alleged real men don't play with alleged men. Alleged men might try to lure real men into the sandbox to play with them. Good luck with that. Real men don't entertain such things. That's a character and a class thing. So now, how does the average person, become tax exempt on the state level? So you've done your federal stuff. Now you're looking at your state stuff. You need to do your homework to see how it works in your state. If you're taxable on the federal level, if you're still then taxable, contact your state, see what they have to say. Generally, they're going to say, no, yeah, you're taxable. Yeah. Read their laws, read the statutes, talk to your Department of Revenue for your state. Because generally, what you're going to find is there's two types of transactions. There's you receiving money, and then there's you spending money. Now, technically, a national is exempt from both, but all these institutions and agencies and whatever else who are supposed to be the ones paying the taxes has shifted the tax obligation to you, the consumer. That's one of their dirty little secrets. Oh, if you want other good dirty little secrets, go to jamesclovett.com. What's that? Yeah, jamesclovett.com and go watch some of the paid videos. And for a limited time, I think there's 4 or 5 free videos. And then those will be going back to being paid videos. So probably should watch them while they're free. Look around, see if there's anything you want to. And with all the videos, whatever the set price is, even if it's zero or some of them are $1 because the system won't let me make them all zeros. It's like, no, you need to be making money. Um, you can always pay more. So if it's zero, you can pay more. If it's $1, you can pay more. If it's $100, you can pay more. Whatever the price is, you can always pay over that. All right. So for the state, there's two types of general transactions. You receiving money and you buying things and paying tax. Tax on your money you're receiving, tax on the money you're buying. Which, if you really read the Constitution, it tells you we were never supposed to be paying tax for any of that shit. We've just gotten used to it. They transferred the tax obligation to us because we've been operating in 14th Amendment U.S. citizen jurisdiction and uh, position. 14th Amendment has to pay taxes because they're considered to be a legal person or a corporation business subject to. Nationals ain't subject to shit, at least not in that area. So we'll tackle the income part of it. And in some of my other videos on jamesclovett.com, I go further in depth um, and do a lot more explanation, but that's up to you. It's optional. There's a good enough here for you to get what you want done. If you want to be a little bit more masterful, then go watch the videos. So when you receive money, you've already filled out your paperwork that you are, in fact, a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen and subject to paying tax. You are a member, an employee of theirs. As a national, the other side of you, which you have under 8 U.S.C. 1401, you have two things, but you elected to use the tax version of you versus the exempt private national version of you. Everybody has them, even cops, judges, lawyers, federal workers. Everybody has two. By law, everybody has both. If you're born in America as an American, you were then by law given 14th Amendment U.S. citizenship. If you're born in the District of Columbia, you were a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen first, but because of that law, you also get nationality. But technically, you're also a national of D.C. Um, wait, no, of Washington, yes. D.C. I'd have to see and look if yeah, no, they are. Yeah. So really, people in D.C. are D.C. nationals, 14th Amendment U.S. citizens, and then by law, they also get U.S. citizenship. So they get, yeah, U.S. citizenship, U.S. nationality, and they are also, if they know how to operate correctly, can be regarded as D.C. nationals. Those D.C. nationals are under 8 U.S.C. 1101A 21. That's them as a national belonging to a state. All right. Whereas we are 8 U.S.C. 1101A 22B. You can elect to be A and B, but A means everything, B means just. You're saying, in this event, I want to be regarded just as my national side. So when you went to work, you did all that because they have no obligation by law to tell you about your private side. It's not none of their business. They don't control the private, they control and administer the public. Your U.S. citizen side is a public side entity. The real you, de jure part of you, the organic, is not. Labor's not taxable. They already adjudicated that in federal court. So I'm not saying 100% of everybody out there is tax exempt. What I'm saying is if you know who you are and your particular state does not follows, they have a statute regarding that if you're exempt on the federal level, then you're exempt on the state level, then you are in fact are, and you really should do a revocation optionally, and then fill out the proper non-resident form that your state has. If your state has state taxes, then your state has to have the remedy for anybody who is a non-resident individual or a non-resident. And what that means is that as a national, if you practice tax avoidance per the IRS, then you are in fact, if you're operating from your private side and you indicate that by your paperwork, redoing your forms at your job, then you should be filling out the state's non-resident form. However, that does not exempt you from certain taxable events like 401k and certain other things. So you must pay that 401k money unless you take care of that a specific way. jamesclovett.com or do a consultation. We'll talk about it. Theory only. So, like I said, I've had police and sheriffs and some other people and some three-letter agencies contact me and can I do this? Blah blah blah. Yeah, here's how you do it, educationally speaking. Do your own research. Okay. To which case, knock on wood, none of them have come back and said, hey, this is this, or it didn't work, or blah, blah, blah. Now, there are some people who have said it didn't work because their employer was like, I don't know what that is. But see, that's not acceptable. They have to then talk to their legal department, who then has to sign off on it to bar you, if you will, um, or officially deny you. Otherwise, administerially, all they're saying is yeah, I feel a certain way. I didn't put my HR on it to investigate it. We're just not going to do it. And that's a violation. It's a federal offense, which means you can sue them over it. I'm not saying that's what you necessarily have to do or should do. You could. You have the option. Welcome to America. So if you are a state employee, then you have to do things differently than what I just mentioned. You cannot just be like, nah. they your people will come knocking on your door. You don't believe me? Ask a good friend of mine, Sherry Peel Jackson, who used to work with the IRS. You cannot just stop paying. You have to correct all your paperwork. You have to make everything right. Update them. Don't be afraid. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what it's at. That's what they want is clarity. And they want you to do it right. And if you're not, then they're going to come after you because they want their money and they should get their money. If you're a member of mine, which nobody is other than my son, um, I guess technically my girl and her daughters too are under the protection of Levitica National Government and Levitica Nation and the government of Levitica. Um, then you should be paying. Pay me. F you, pay me. Put the money in my hand, little man. Put the money in my hand. Currency. Guys, it's contract, it's business, it's commerce. If you want remedy, go and find it. It's out there. I'm not even saying you guys have to listen to me. I just did it because it was fascinating. Knocking on these doors, calling the legal departments of different states, counties, and cities, and talking to them or leaving voicemail messages and sometimes getting calls back. Most of the time, they didn't want to answer my questions for, their reasons. How many of these gurus can say that? I haven't heard one of them doing, oh, yeah, I called the state's legal department. I ain't heard none of them say they've done almost nothing. It's just listen to what I say. Do what I tell you. Do as I say, not as I do. And then, like some of these dating guys, gurus, and these girl dating gurus. So follow me on my other YouTube channel, Bad Wolf Unrestricted. All right, it's a good time. You'll enjoy it. Then you find out, like, what is it, the sprinkle sprinkle lady? Um, her and her dude be on some domestics, problems, and dude's only making like 70. And then she's talking about pimping and playing, but dude, old Stan or whatever his name is in the back trying to be seen a little bit like this chick on here lying. It's entertainment, guys. You're gonna find the majority of these people, no matter what they say, how they talk, how they look, the money that they show you. Yeah, I got money, dog. I got money. You can go on Amazon and get that fake ass Hollywood money. It's theatrical money half the time. And then they scam you long enough and then they get the real money. Then they start using it. Right? Come on, man. You can't fool a fooler, can't school a schooler. Can't sell a devil a lighter. Come on now. Some of us, I'm playing Star Trek three-dimensional chess, and some of these cats out here are throwing their checkers pieces at me. We're not the same. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So let's get to the part where we talk about buying things. So if in fact you want to be tax exempt when you buy things, unless you guys can find out something better than I can. We do know that the passport book and card generally works at a number of places, but not all of the places. This is true. Should it? Absolutely. But do some of these places honor it? No. Are they supposed to? Yes. Could you sue them? Yes. Would you win? Most likely, I give it a 75% chance, but you're going to sue them over a couple of dollars. But I guess if you look at it bigger, that they're denying a class of people, that that could be a pretty hefty lawsuit. Educationally speaking, just like the Department of State not acknowledging under GPO Style Manual, Section 5.23, the natives of the several states, and that on their old 2000, no, 1994 to 96 applications on page 2, number 11, it used to say state citizen, which is the same thing as a national per GPO Style Manual, Section 5.23. And we have those under 8 U.S.C. 1401, federal law, Cornell Law EDU. Thank you, Cornell Law EDU, and Department of State, and the back rooms that watch my videos, the board members. Hi, board members. So, yeah, those are all lawsuits by law, but y'all ain't awake enough to do nothing about it. Except for like the one lady recently, a couple of years back, up to now, she finally won, where she didn't want to use her social security number and her what is it, social security number and birth certificate. But understand what she won was the fact that there's no law that says you have to use one as a national. See, if you don't identify who you are and then you just go in there, they're going to assume behind your back you're a U.S. citizen. So, absolutely, excuse me, absolutely a U.S. citizen without saying that part. Absolutely, you must use your social security number. You have to make sure you're identifying who you are in your proper capacity when doing these things and going after them. So then if they deny, so wait a minute, you're denying me of this right as a national under 8 U.S.C. 1503? Denial of rights and privileges as a national? Ew, that's a federal offense and then some. Oh, you're denying a class. You're denying the class of people here. They're hypothetically, educationally speaking, a national ID or the certificate of nationality. That's a lawsuit. That could be a class action lawsuit right there, educationally speaking, against any department, police department, state department, federal department that denies you that, hypothetically, education speaking, not legal advice, legal theory. So if you wanted to buy stuff tax exempt, the only method that I've been able to see is to create a tax exempt entity. And then your tax exempt entity does the purchasing. Now, could you get that form? And I haven't looked at the form in a long time. Could there be a spot on there that says other? So you're applying as a Native American, as a national state citizen? There could be. I'll have to look into it. Maybe something I'll do. Grab the form but see, that might be just my state. It may not be your state. So once again, you have to do the research for your state because each one of them moves a little bit differently. Or you better know how to argue in court your standing, which is something I know how to do all day. The remedy is there for the national. I can argue that with anybody. I can go toe to toe with anybody all day with that. Not necessarily saying that I have to like, oh, get this big win, but if they don't know that and they're trying to argue with me, you've already disqualified yourself. You don't even know who you are. And a lot of people feel that way because they sit on their little YouTube platforms and they feel some type of way because nobody really calls them out. Nobody really challenges them. They don't accept challenges by people who are well versed. And if they do, they just want to have the back and forth controversy. I learned a long time ago after watching my mom and dad argue as a 6, 7 year old kid that I don't need to go back and forth with the riffraff. So that won't ever happen. On occasion, I will be on people's podcasts or whatever else, or Zooms, generally here and there. as I see fit. Other than that, guys, like I said, anybody who's working for the state directly or fed, like, that is something that we can do a consultation on. You have to kind of craft that carefully. It's not hard, but it's depending on your circumstance, what forms you signed. But yeah, it can all be done. It can all be done. Um, let's see, was there anything else? So we talk about statement. If your state does not accept or recognize that you are exempt on the federal level, generally you are supposed to pay taxes for the state. I say just go ahead and pay it because what is it like $200 or something like that? Whatever it is, I just give it to them. You're in the state, you're doing business in their state, but do you generally have a legal right if you pre-plan and do things appropriately that we at blacksite32.com can give you a theoretical educational guide on how it should be, could be done? Yes, absolutely. Um, of course, we assume no liability, blah blah blah. Normal stuff. Small fine, small print writing. Um, but like I said, if you're supposed to pay it, that's how your state is. I would just say pay it. We can get you through it, but understand some of these people are petty, and so they may try to fight you on it. And of course, we'll give you all the ammo that you need to have a war battle with them. But at the end of the day, it's their jurisdiction. So you may lose, in all honesty. Does that mean you couldn't take it to the federal court and adjudicate it there? Definitely. Maybe even the Supreme Court. I'm just saying, if you want it that bad, you got to want it that bad. And then you have to be willing to follow all the steps. You can't just be like, oh, well, I did what the wolf said, and then now, um, either I have to back down or take them to court. So I'm just going to back down and then say it doesn't work. No, that method with that agency in that state didn't work because they probably have laws in place to prevent that. And unless you can prove otherwise, or, that's what you're supposed to do. So then you need to articulate in court why you feel you're right. And just because even if nobody else ever won in the state's history does not mean you can't. Understand that a lot of people who do win get their settlement or whatever else. Generally, they settle out of court 8 out of 10 times, and then they go quiet. And then they don't talk about it on YouTube. That's why you don't hear about a lot of these things. Doesn't mean they're not happening right now. But once again, you at the end of the day are still responsible for each and every decision you have ever made. Even if somebody played you or fooled you out of the money you got, whatever it is. Like the guy I talked about in another video, scammed me years ago. I still made the decision. I knew full well this could be bullshit. I made a decision. So, ladies, who you allow in your house, bed, mind, around your kids is your decision. Guys may control marriage and family longevity. Females control access to the vajay and dating, period. So choose wisely. Guys, once they got your goodies, and I mean your goods, your baby batter, etc., you got for the long haul. Choose wisely. Everybody. where you go to school, where you spend your money, your bank. Do your research on all of that before. And I don't care who you get your information from, who you do a consult with, get your files or whatever else. Do your research. I'll talk to you guys later.